محمدا عبده ورسوله خاتم الأنبياء والمرسلين اللهم صل وسلم على عبدك ورسولك محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه ومن دعا بدعوته واستنى بسنته إلى يوم الدين وسلم تسليما كثيرا. أما بعد فأوصيكم ونفسي بتقوى الله عز وجل والسمع والطاعة. ويقول الحق سبحانه: أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون. All praises are due to Allah, Lord of the worlds. And surely Allah is the friend and protector of the righteous. And I bear witness that Allah is one and has no partners, and that Muhammad, the son of Abdullah, is his servant, his last messenger, the seal of the prophets and messengers. May Allah always, constantly send peace and blessings to Muhammad, to his family, to his companions, to all those who call to his way and establish his sunnah to the day of judgment. As to what follows, I begin by reminding myself again of the importance of taqwa, the importance of the consciousness of Allah, that we should fear Allah, we should hope in the mercy of Allah, we should never forget the Creator in everything that we do in this life. And Allah has told us in relationship to taqwa in His mighty book, O you who believe, have the consciousness, fear Allah in the way He should be feared to the best of your ability, and do not die except as Muslims. And so Allah subhanahu has made as the bottom line that when we make transition out of this world, that we should try our best to be in a state of Islam, a state of submission, to smoothly and in a comfortable way submit to the universe, to what Allah has created for us in all aspects of our life. The world we live in, however, is pushing us in the opposite direction. Because instead of being a world of comfortable submission, it is becoming more and more a world of chaos. And there is a lot of doubt in the world. And you hear it expressed by people of all generations, especially younger people. Even those who claim to be experts have a lot of doubt today. There is political doubt. We're not sure, even in the so-called free world, but we're not sure which party to vote for, which candidate. There's a lot of doubt. There's doubt economically. We're not sure, should we invest our money in land? Should we put it in the bank? Should we take out a loan? Will there be a recession in the coming years? So even people in the economy have a lot of doubt. In the social sphere, people have doubt about themselves, doubt about their racial group, doubt about their position in society. And so in this chaos of doubt, we remember the words of the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, who has told us in authentic hadith, Da ma yuribuk ila ma la yuribuk. He said, leave that which is doubtful for that which has no doubt. And he clearly stated to his companions and to us that I am leaving you two things. If you follow them, you will never go astray. That is the book of Allah and my sunnah. And so in times of doubt, it is more important for us to return to the basics of our faith, to understand who we are as Muslims, not Muslim in name, but Muslim in reality. And that has come so clear in the recent statement of the United Nations Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change. This statement, when I saw it, it shocked me, and it's haunting me, because I don't know whether they understood what they were actually saying, because they were coming to the bottom line. They were going to the bottom line for humanity. And maybe this is one of the advantages of a secular group that has an international look at the whole condition of humanity. And when they did that, they said, we are facing code red for humanity. We need transformational change, operating on processes and behaviors at all levels: individual, communities, businesses, institutions, and governments. We must redefine our way of life and our consumption. I don't know whether they realized what they had said, but they were on the bottom line, because we know that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has told us, Inna Allah la yughayyiru ma biqawmin hatta yughayyiru ma bi anfusihim. Allah will not change the condition of a people until they change that which is in themselves. There must be a transformation that goes on. And so, without having the relationship with the book of Allah, they hit on the truth. And they looked at it in terms of the processes. How are we functioning? What is our interpersonal relationships? Our behavior. That our behavior has to transform individually. That's the message. Individual transformation of our behavior. Communities, all of the communities have to transform their behaviors. Our businesses have to transform. What is the essence of my business? What is my intention in life? Is it to make money? Is it to buy 2 or 3 vehicles? To have a house outside the city? Transform the business, transform institutions, and transform governments. That even the governments and how they are functioning need to transform themselves. This is a code red message. And I love the last part of what they said, because they said we must redefine our way of life. That is the deen. We must redefine our way of life. We must redefine the way we consume. That's the economy. Is it the rich getting richer and the poor getting poorer? Do we exploit the earth? Do we disregard the creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? We have to redefine this. And Muslims are directly affected by this. We are right in the center of this because Allah has given us the message. Allah has shown us how to make a transformational change. And so we need to do a deep dive into the very concepts that we have of being a Muslim. We need to do a deep dive through the surface in our faith and in who we actually are. And one of the great scholars of Islam who died 620 years after the Hijrah, Ibn Qudama al-Maqdisi, rahimahullah, in his Minhaj al-Qasidin, he did a deep dive. He did a deep dive into character. And what is it that we are? And the beauty of Islamic scholarship is that it reflects the Book of Allah and the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ, and it goes into that timeless category. When it's in reflection to the Book of Allah and the Sunnah, it falls into that timeless category. And Ibn Qudama, he looked into the concept of taqwa. And that is critical for us because we mention taqwa constantly. The book of Allah mentions it. Imam al-Shafi'i even said, if a khatib is giving Jum'ah, he must mention taqwa in some place. And Ibn Qudama rahimahullah stated clearly that looking at taqwa, it is made up of al-khawf wal-raja. It is made up of fear and hope. And he said, al-khawf wal-raja sa'iqani yab'athani ala al-amal wa ma la yab'ath ala al-amal fahuwa ghurur. He said, fear and hope are stimulants. They stimulate you. That's what taqwa is about. Taqwa is not supposed to put you to sleep. It's supposed to give you action. If you fear something, you jump back from it. If you hope for something, you move towards it. So taqwa is an action-oriented quality. And our scholar, rahimahullah, he said that if there is something, if you are doing the opposite, if something pushes you to not work, to become stagnated, it is ghurur. It is deception. It is an illusion. It is trickery. And this is the test for the Muslim today. Not to have the Muslim name. We have the names. The word Muhammad is the most popular name on the face of the planet Earth up until today. It's not that we don't have masjids. It's not that we do not have Islamic institutions or an identity. But what is it that we actually are? What is underneath it? What is the real reality? Many Muslims are deceived by their names and their families. And they feel that because I come from a good family, and as Ibn Qudama said, he comes from a family, his father is pious, his mother is pious, she gives in sadaqah. So he said, I don't have to give in sadaqah. I don't have to do anything because my family is pious. He's being deceived. Some are being deceived by their relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And whenever they see something going wrong, they say, Inna Allah Kareem. Allah Kareem. Allah is generous. We don't have to do any extra work. He is being deceived. That is what ghurur is. And this is a deep dive into our qualities. We need to now do this. For the masses of the people, there are those who have sins and there are those who have obedience. And so the example of a person who after Salat al-Fajr makes istighfar 100 times. He asks Allah to forgive him 100 times. And he multiplies that times Fajr, times the masjid. And he said, I have enough barakah to last the whole day. And he spends the rest of his day scandalizing people, backbiting, disobeying Allah. He is deceived because he thinks that those good deeds that he did is going to outweigh the evil that he is doing. There are some who are deceived also in the scholarly level. There are scholars who will teach the truth, but they don't practice the truth. And that is a major deception. That is why you cannot necessarily follow every scholar by what they say. It is by what they do after what they say. There is also a type of ghurur that is surrounding the people of ihsan, the ones who would call themselves tasawwuf, of the Sufi, who practice the leaving of this world, who practice zuhud, abstinence, but yet live a material life and who struggle against each other based upon their ego, based upon their tariqah. They are being deceived. Because in the time of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu tasawwuf or ihsan, it was not a name, it was a reality. And as the great scholars said, what has happened after that is that it became a name with no reality. And that is also for those who call themselves Salafi. They say that they are following the Salaf, the ones who came before them. They say they are following strictly the Book of Allah and the Sunnah. But what happens? They become dry. And their relationship with other Muslims, their hearts have died. And they don't give the love, which is the basis of Islam. They are also being deceived. There are rich people who are constructing masjids, giving in the path of Allah, but they give it to get a name, not to build the house of Allah. They're being deceived. Even that money that they're giving is not a source of barakah for them. It's a source of riyah. It's a source of showing off. And the extreme point that Ibn Qudama brought is there are even mujahideen, there are even people who are fighting in the path of Allah. But they fight because of their tribe, because of their organization, because of their people. And when they establish Islam, they don't establish it according to the Sunnah. They establish it according to their cultural norms, according to their tribal way of doing things. They are also being deceived. And so this is an opportunity for us at this point in our history to do a deep dive into ourselves, to make that transformational change on an individual level, in our communities, in our businesses, our institutions, and pray to Allah that even our governments can make a change and that things will not be so doubtful as we move through this time of great advancements in technology, but in backwardness in the relationship of human beings. And so I leave you with these words, and I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give us clarity in the things that we are doing. Remember Salatul Istikhara. Remember, before you are doing something, whatever it is, ask Allah. You're confused about the vote. You're confused about the vaccine. You're confused about the future. Make istikhara. Look at the signs. Make that connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala before you make your choice. Because the choices we are making will be very critical for our time in the future. I leave you with these thoughts, and I pray that Allah would ease the burden off of our community, off the Muslims around the world, especially in Afghanistan and Palestine and Kashmir and the Rohingyas and the Uyghurs and all those who are suffering now in the droughts, in the locusts. May Allah ease the burden on the Muslims, and may Allah raise up leadership that will take us from darkness into light and will lead us from doubt into clarity under the book of Allah. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم ولسائر المسلمين من كل ذنب استغفروا إنه هو الغفور الرحيم. الحمد لله الواحد الأحد الفرد الصمد الذي لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد وأصلي وأسلم على سيد الأولين والآخرين نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين وبعد. يا عباد الله اتقوا الله حيثما كنتم ويقول الحق سبحانه مخبرا وآمرا إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما اللهم صل وسلم على عبدك ورسولك محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين وارض الله عن الخلفاء الراشدين أبو بكر عمر وعثمان وعلي وعنا برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. الحمد لله الذي هدانا لهذا وما كنا لنهتدي لولا أن هدانا الله. ربنا لا تزغ قلوبنا بعد إذ هديتنا وهب لنا من لدنك رحمة إنك أنت الوهاب. ربنا فاغفر لنا ذنوبنا وكفر عنا سيئاتنا وتوفنا مع الأبرار. اللهم أعز الإسلام والمسلمين. اللهم أعز الإسلام والمسلمين. اللهم أعز الإسلام والمسلمين. اللهم انصر المستضعفين في العالم الإسلامي يا أرحم الراحمين. لا إله إلا أنت سبحانك إنا كنا من الظالمين. اللهم لا تدع لنا ذنبا إلا غفرته، ولا هما إلا فرجته، ولا دينا إلا قضيته، ولا مريدا إلا شفيته، ولا ميتا إلا رحمته، ولا حاجة من حوائج الدنيا إلا قضيتها يا أرحم الراحمين. عباد الله يرحمكم الله، إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون. قوموا إلى صلاتكم يرحمكم الله.